Hello there. Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my live videos. As you did currently see yesterday, I gave you my match reaction on the Manchester United Chelsea game at Old Trafford. Currently ended 1-1 at Old Trafford between Manchester United and Chelsea yesterday, and now it's looking ultimately like top four has gone for Manchester United, because potentially we know that Champions League football is very, very essential for next season, so we can attract players to the highest level as well. But reflecting back on that game yesterday, if we had won that game, we would have gone level on points with Chelsea as well. So potentially, we would have been, quite frankly, still in that race for the top four as well. But we could still get that top four, but I doubt it very, very much, guys. To be quite honest, but we've had the opportunities, of getting into that top four. To be quite honest, Arsenal losing to Leicester 3-0. I also forgot to mention, that Tottenham also lost as well, and Arsenal have lost their last 3 games as well. So potentially now in a row. So potentially now I think we have only won 2 of our last 10 games now in all competitions as well. So we are in a bad vein of form at the moment. I just don't know what's gone wrong, to be quite honest. Since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got the job full time, it's just seemed to have all gone wrong, to be quite honest with you. You'll get quite a few Manchester United fans now saying maybe we've given the job too soon, maybe we should have waited till the summer, to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the contract. But reflecting back when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager of the club in his first 3 months, the results were good, the performances were really, really good as well, and he was getting the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations of course as well. Based on our bad vein of form, the majority of the blame is on the players. Some of the blame, does stem from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because some of his tactics are questionable as well. But potentially, he made 5 changes yesterday in that game, did Ole Gunnar Solskjaer against Chelsea. But the frustrating thing is, we were really, really good in that first half of the game. The desire was good, the tenacity was really, really good. We played with a high level of intensity. The rhythm was good, the movement was good. We was also creating chances as well. And Lukaku had a great first half. I thought it was poor second half, but I thought first half, he played really, really well, did Romelu Lukaku. I thought Herrera was breaking up the play very, very well in that midfield. Well, Solskjaer went with a midfield of Herrera, Match and Pogba, and that's mainly his first choice midfield trio, is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. But obviously, injuries with Adam and all that, he's obviously, had to rotate it, especially in that midfield. But yeah, it looked like it worked. It worked in that first half, to be quite honest. And, Mata played very, very well in the first half as well. He scored the goal for Manchester United, and it was lovely, build-up play, leading towards Juan Mata's goal. Lovely little dink from Romelu Lukaku, finds Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, obviously, was the architect. It was a good cross from Luke Shaw and found Juan Mata, and that was 1-0. And then we continued to be on the front foot, to be quite honest with you. Chelsea defensively, were very, very poor in the first half as well. But then potentially, it was a mistake from David De Gea, that led to Chelsea equalising, just before half time as well. And I think, what's going on with David De Gea at the moment, is it something to do with the contract issue? I'm not too sure, to be quite honest with you, because he is becoming a liability now, is David De Gea. And as I did say, is it something to do with a contract issue? I do not know. I still think he does want to be at Manchester United. Does David De Gea? There's been rumours going on that PSG have been interested in David De Gea, but based on his mistake, David De Gea's, that allowed Marco Alonso, to equalise for Chelsea as well. These now people say, maybe for these remaining 2 games, we should drop David De Gea and put Sergio Romero into contention as well. So there has been quite a few Manchester United fans saying that as well. But in the second half, it was a total different performance, to be quite honest. I thought we were terrible in that second half. To be quite honest, Chelsea sort of figured us out, and they adjusted to that, did Chelsea. And then Chelsea started pressing. Chelsea defensively looked much better in that second half as well. We saw Baye coming off injured in the game. Baye got a rare start because Baye's been in and out of the team this season, but Baye's just initially recovered from a head injury, and now he's sustained another injury. I think it's some kind of knee injury. Also, Rudiger came off for Chelsea as well, injured in the game. That's another injury Rudiger suffered for Chelsea, and also to Marcus Rashford, I think, came off injured in the game as well. And there has been talks now that Marcus Rashford could actually miss the Huddersfield game as well. So maybe in these remaining 2 games, maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should drop the problematic players and recommend the youngsters to get giving a chance as well. So maybe we should give the youngsters a chance in these 2 remaining games as well. But yeah, Rashford has suffered a shoulder injury, apparently, and a lot of these players, do need a reality check, to be quite honest, because Marcus Rashford, for me, is still in the process of developing. He's still 21 years of age. He's got immense talent. He's still got a lot of years ahead of him. But I thought Rashford was absolutely dreadful yesterday, if I'm going to be quite honest with you as well. But he has sustained quite a few injuries. He's had a couple of ankle injuries. Now he's sustained sustained a shoulder injury as well as Marcus Rashford, and potentially, yeah, a lot of these players, do need a reality check, to be quite honest with you. Obviously, Lingard didn't play yesterday for Manchester United, and Lingard, I don't even think he was in the match squad, but, his performances when he's been playing have been really, really poor indeed for the last couple of months now, but I still think the likes of Lingard, Rashford and Martial, they are the short-term problem at the moment, but I still think they are the long-term solution. And I know Martial wasn't playing yesterday, he was actually on the subs bench, was Martial, but he was actually unused there, was Martial. Fred wasn't in the matchday squad yesterday, Diego Dalot, wasn't in the matchday squad yesterday, even Chris Smalling wasn't even in the matchday squad as well, so basically you can question some of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tactics, to be quite honest with you. Wouldn't have played Ashley Young yesterday because Ashley Young's past his sell-by date now as a Manchester United player, of course, this is 8th season out at Manchester United's Ashley Young's, of course. He's been a good servant to the club, he's a good winner back in the day, was Ashley Young, and I think it was bad business from the club, giving him that new 1-year extension as well, so that's one of the players I do want to leave Manchester United this summer. I think he's 33 now, is Ashley Young, I think he's nearly 34 years of age, but for me, I would have played Diego Dalot ahead of Ashley Young, without a shadow of a doubt. I think Diego Dalot's 19, 20 years of age, and he's still in the process of developing, of course, as well. But the first half performance in the first 40 minutes, was very, very good for Manchester United. And then when Chelsea equalised, we just seemed to take his eye off the boil, and then Chelsea took control of the game in that second half, to be quite honest with you as well. I think Marcus Rojo had his header cleared off the line in the second half as well, but there was 7 minutes of injury time, of course, obviously, with the injuries and the substitutes and all that as well. But yeah, so potentially, as I did say, so Rashford could reportedly, miss the Huddersfield game. Maybe some Manchester United fans, saying that Mason Greenwood, should be giving him an opportunity as well. So Rashford, could miss the Huddersfield game as well. Martial, even though he didn't play yesterday, I haven't, been impressed with his performances either. Anthony Martial. For me, he's still on a young as Martial. He's 23 years of age. He has got immense talent, and he's still got a lot of years ahead of him. But earlier on in the season, Martial was in fantastic form for Manchester United. But he was in fantastic form for Manchester United, but I said at least in the last couple of months, as I did say, Anthony Martial, he's really failed to replicate that, to be quite honest with you. But as I was saying about Rashford, he's born and bred in Manchester, he's been a United player since the age of 7, 8 years old or something like that, and he's progressed up the ranks fantastically well as Marcus Rashford. But as I did currently say, his performances at least for the last couple of months have not been up to scratch, to be quite honest with you, and it could take him at least a couple of years, to graduate to that level as well. And potentially, in relation to Paul Pogba, I thought he played quite well in the first half yesterday, did Paul Pogba, because, prior to the Chelsea game, his performances in the last 6 or 7 games, before the Chelsea game, way below par, to be quite honest with you. And I think, that just emphasises that he doesn't want to be at Manchester United anymore. I think he is going to be going to Real Madrid in the summer, is Paul Pogba, because reports have been stemming from Spain that reportedly he's agreed personal terms with Real Madrid. He's also, I think that also the wages have been agreed as well, so I think he's agreed around a 10 million a year deal with Real Madrid as Paul Pogba. But I think Paul Pogba's informed Manchester United that he wants to leave the club and that he wants to join Real Madrid this summer as well. There's still a lot of rumours going on that his former club Juventus are linked with him as well. It says Juventus are interested in re-signing Paul Pogba. It did say Juventus would have to potentially, sanction a couple of their players off, to be able to fund the move for Paul Pogba. But it has potentially said that Juventus have held negotiations with his agent Raiola. But Manchester United, if we do sell him this summer, we could get around at least 120, 130 million pounds for him, and I think this is what Manchester United are currently demanding as well. But he's potentially a world-class midfielder, is Paul Pogba, when he's playing in the right vein and manner. But for me, at Manchester United, maybe he's not, playing a monster world-class players, is Paul Pogba. Maybe Paul Pogba wants to play to the highest level, he wants to be up there, challenging for trophies and winning trophies, of course, as well. And this is why he's intending on making the move to Real Madrid. But, Paul Pogba, was talking a lot about Real Madrid, quite a few weeks back, saying it's his dream to play for them and all that. And, he's keen on playing under Zinedine Zidane. And, of course, Zinedine Zidane is a big admirer of the player. I think Manchester United have been in negotiations with Paul Pogba. We've begun negotiations with Paul Pogba over a new contract. Paul Pogba's still got over 2 years left on his deal. There is also an option of a further year as well. He's currently on about £300,000 a week on his current deal at the moment. He's Paul Pogba as well. No. So yeah, he's currently on about £300,000 a week in his current deal at the moment. He's Paul Pogba. But as I said, Zinedine Zidane is a big admirer of the player as well. So there's been a lot of rumours going on about that. There has also been talk. Well, there were reports coming out the other week saying that Manchester United were willing to offer him the captain's armband, to convince him to stay at the club as well. But yeah, he's heading into his 4th season now as a Manchester United player. Of course, Manchester United paid £89 million for him from Juventus back in 2016 as well. Last year, I think also Barcelona, were linked with Paul Pogba as well, but I think he's made it clear that he does want to leave the club. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer himself, from his own preference, thinks that Paul Pogba still will be at Manchester United next season. This is what potentially Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has basically said as well. He thinks he'll be at Manchester United next season, Paul Pogba. But Solskjaer said obviously these are no guarantees of course as well. So looking likely he's going to be going now. We could get around 120, 130 million pounds for him for that money. We could basically get a couple of, we could get 2 players for that price as well. So yeah, I think we definitely now need a couple of additions in that midfield as well. Potentially, as you all know, in relation to Ander Herrera, you all know that he's going as well. Reports came out saying that he's agreed a 4-year deal, with Paris Saint-Germain as Ander Herrera. Of course, Ander Herrera, was playing yesterday as well. It was good to see him, playing. I thought he did okay, to be quite honest. He can break up the play very, very well. He's tenacious, Ander Herrera as well. But this is his 5th season now at Manchester United. I think he's made about 188 appearances for the club, and he has been a good servant to the club as Ander Herrera. But I think Manchester United have been in negotiations of trying to get him a new contract of course. But potentially, I think he allegedly said quite a few weeks back that he was demanding around £200,000 a week from Manchester United. Manchester United were not willing to pay that £200,000 a week. Of course, he was demanding as well. But as I said, he's been a good servant to the club as Ander Herrera. There were talks saying that his former club, Atletico Bilbao, were interested as well. But he did currently say it was too late to process because obviously he'd already reached an agreement with Paris Saint-Germain as well. So I think it's a 4-year deal. He's agreed. He's set to earn around £150,000 a week with Paris Saint-Germain as well. But from Paris Saint-Germain's perspective, they're obviously going to see him as a replacement for Adrien Rabiot as well. But yeah, I think he'll do well in Paris. Ander Herrera, he's done very, very well with Manchester United. So we're going to have to emphasise a couple of targets, that could potentially replace Ander Herrera as well. And it's a shame, to see him go, to be quite honest, because if you look at it statistically, when he has been playing, I know he played yesterday, but before that, he hadn't played for quite a while, Ander Herrera, because obviously he's just recently, been injured as well. We've won the majority of our games, when he's been playing Ander Herrera, so that just emphasises what difference he makes in that midfield as well. So it's a shame to see him go, to be quite honest with you. But now we are going to need a couple of additions in that midfield, someone who can replace Herrera, someone who can replace Paul Pogba as well. It's going to be difficult to find someone on Paul Pogba's level, to be quite honest with you. It's going to be very, very difficult indeed. And as I did say, it's going to be difficult now to get the players to the highest level because obviously, they like to be in Champions League football, and obviously, it's looking likely we're going to be in the Europa League next season as well. I do also think we need a centre defensive midfielder that's fast and tenacious as well, because for me, Matic is not reliable enough, to be quite honest with you. He's too slow, he's too ineffective, to be quite honest with you. I know he's an experienced midfielder, Manchester United, paid £40 million for him, but for me, he's too slow and he's not reliable enough, to be quite honest with you as well. So I think we also need a centre defensive midfielder. But as I did say, we are expected, to orchestrate a big summer clear out. Solskjaer wants to bring at least 5 new additions to the club this summer, and I think, obviously the board are going to back him, of course. I think we're going to get a spending spree of around £250 million this summer as well. But for me, we've got to be ruthless in this summer transfer window. We've definitely got to be ruthless in this summer transfer window. You can potentially see the deficiencies in the squad, and we've got to potentially rebuild as well, and that is the most essential thing indeed, because potentially our recruitment policy is very, very poor indeed. But we've got to get the right players that have got the ability to elevate Manchester United at least in the next 2 to 3 years. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, showed an interest in quite a few young upcoming talents as well. But he's identified the positions where he thinks United need to strengthen up. We definitely need a right back. We need a central defender. Need a couple of additions in midfield, as I said, and we also need a right winger as well. And I think that's Solskjaer's priority, of course. To get a right winner in as well. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer obviously wants to buy into our history as well. So I think based on our bad vein of form, obviously we still got to give him time, spend money in the summer and then see how it goes next season. But on this squad's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as I did say, he hasn't spent all year as a Manchester United manager. Not we spent in January. Obviously last summer under Jose Mourinho, we didn't get as a main priority targets as well. And we do know a lot of money's been spent at the club since Ferguson retired. We've had different managers with different philosophies, but I think about £700 million being spent or something like that. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is inheriting 11 of Jose Mourinho's players, still some players even Van Gaal, there's still Matt Reeve from the Moyes era, there's still about 4 or 5 players even from the Alex Ferguson era as well, and so he still needs time, does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, to spend money this summer as well. Obviously, we know the club is still looking to hire a director of football to come in, but I heard that Mike Phelan is in line, to become the first technical director as well. I still believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, can take us forward. My opinions will change, if it does start off really, really bad next season as well. But he hasn't really got the experience. He hasn't got a great managerial pedigree, let's be honest as well. But he wants to bring at least 5 new additions to the club in the summer as well. So as I did say, I think the Pogba's going, Herrera's going. As I said, I want Ashley Young gone as well. We know one player that's definitely going, and that's Antonio Valencia in the summer when his contract comes to an end. Because obviously, the club opted against the decision, to give Valencia that new 1 year extension as well. He's been a good servant. He's been here 10 years now. I think he's still out at the moment with a calf injury. Antonio Valencia as well. So that's one player that is definitely going. I want Chris Smalling and Phil Jones gone at the end of the season as well, because Chris Smalling and Phil Jones, they're no longer good enough, to represent Manchester United. This Chris Smalling's 9th season at the club. I think Phil Jones has been here about 7, 8 seasons, something like that. And I think it was bad business from the club, giving Jones a new contract, a new long-term contract, giving Smalling a new long-term contract as well. That was also bad business from the club. So I'd like to see them go in the summer as well. And I think Chris Smalling's aging up now. I think Phil Jones is knocking on a bit as well, so they've also got to go as well. I think Bay's future is in serious doubt, to be quite honest. Obviously now, as I just said, sustained another injury. He's been in and out of the team this season, especially since Solskjaer's come in, because as I said, Solskjaer's preferred the likes of Smalling and Jones ahead of Eric Bailly. Eric Bailly's heading into his 4th season now as a United player. I still really, really like him. I still think he's got great potential as Eric Bailly, to be quite honest, but especially if a new centre back is to come in this summer, his future could be in serious doubt, Eric Bailly's as well. Rojo, definitely think he's on his way out in the summer as well. Just recently, we covered from long-term absence, Marcus Rojo, but I think his career has been affected, the amount of injuries he suffered as a Manchester United player, Marcus Rojo. So I think he possibly, could be on his way out in the summer as well. Also, too, I think Matteo Darmian probably on his way out in the summer. I'm sure that the club did trigger a 1 year extension for Matteo Darmian, so if we can get rid of him this summer, we can cash in for the player as well. I think he's been here since 2015, but he's enjoyed a difficult time as a Manchester United player, of course, as Matteo Darmian. Obviously, he hasn't really, got into the team, Matteo Darmian as well. For me, you've got, I think Nemanja Matic, is not good enough for Manchester United, as I said. I think Fred's a better solution, than Nemanja Matic, to be quite honest at this moment in time, because I think in the last couple of games, Fred has really stepped up to the plate, to be quite honest with you. I think, he's the right solution at this moment in time. I don't know if Fred is a long-term solution, to be quite honest, because I've been known for criticising Fred, to be quite honest with you, but, prior to this Chelsea game and all that, in the last couple of games, he has really stepped it up as Fred, when he has played, to be quite honest, and I think he's probably a better solution than Nemanja Matic. He's more mobile on the ball, he's probably better on the ball as well as Fred, so I probably would start Fred, maybe against Huddersfield as well. Potentially, as I said, Sanchez definitely, he's got to leave the club this summer as well, because Sanchez doesn't have a future at the club, and Sanchez is 30 years of age now. He's not playing to the highest level anymore. He has lost that yard of pace, and currently what he's receiving, Alexis Sanchez, it's totally affecting our wage structure in a bad way. To be quite honest, and he has sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player, but when he has played, he just looks so inconsistent, and that's not good enough, for a player that's the highest paid player at the club, highest paid player in the Premier League as well. It may be difficult to find a buy for Sanchez this summer, because there may not be many teams that will be able to afford to pay his current wages off as well. So I want him out of the club in the summer. Like Sanchez, I think he's been here about 15, 16 months now, is it? Something like that. Sanchez, as I said as well, Juan Mata, I was impressed with his performance yesterday against Chelsea, but Juan Mata hasn't really had the chance, to be quite honest here. He was 31 yesterday as well. It was his birthday yesterday, Juan Mata's, but he's no longer playing to the highest level. He has lost that yard of pace as Juan Mata. Juan Mata yesterday, I think, was playing in that free role, just behind, the split strikers of Lukaku and Rashford. And, Juan Mata, you know, for me, he's been a very, very good servant to Manchester United as well, Matt. But he's too old now. He's for 31 years of age, sorry, should I say. Now he is 31 years of age. You know, this is his 5th season at the club. I think he's made like over 200 odd appearances in all competitions as well. But I think he's going to leave this summer when his contract expires one matter as well. So he's another player that's likely to leave in the summer. You've got Romelu Lukaku as well, who I thought, as I said earlier on in the video, put a good first half display in yesterday against Chelsea. But for me, he's not reliable enough. He's too slow. He's still got a lot of years ahead of him as Romelu Lukaku. And, you know, recent reports have been coming out saying that, you know, if we are to sell Lukaku and Pogba this summer, so if we are to sell the duo this summer, Manchester United could cash in around £200 million to them, because we did pay big money for them, don't forget. You know, we paid £75 million for Lukaku plus £15 million in add-ons. You know, we paid £89 million for Paul Pogba as well. So we could cash in around £200 million if we could sell them off in the summer as well. But as I did say, Lukaku is attracting interest from the likes of Juventus and Inter Milan as well. You know, Lukaku was recently talking about, you know, it would be a dream, you know, for him, you know, to play in the Serie A and all that. And I think if Man United are to get rid of him this summer, his preferred destination, of course, is Juventus as well. Lukaku's in his 2nd season now as a Manchester United player, and he's enjoyed a difficult 2nd season as a Manchester United player. He was good in his 1st season. You know, he scored 27 goals, I think, in all competitions in his 1st season. He's still got 3 years left on his contract with Manchester United as Romelu Lukaku as well. But yeah, you know, for me, he's got a good pedigree in the Premier League. His pedigree is very, very good in the Premier League. You know, his goal scoring form is very, very good. But for me, he bottles it against the big teams. He's not reliable enough. You know, well, let's be honest, at this moment in time, the majority of this Manchester United squad is not reliable enough. But for me, Lukaku doesn't really get enough them runs in behind. He can perform better, as I did say, he can perform better and look a bit more effective, you know, when he's getting that support up front, Romelu Lukaku. But we will be looking to recoup the 75 million we paid for him, or maybe get a bit more than 75 million pounds for Lukaku as well. So yeah, Juventus are heavily linked with him, and he did say, was it a week or so ago, that his agent has revealed that his future is very, very open indeed. So potentially for me, you know, who would be a good who could we get in that midfield, as I do keep saying, and for me, Declan Rice, you know, would be a good adequate replacement, you know, for Nemanja Matic, you know, to be quite honest with you. You know, we need the shield in front of that defensive line, you know, to be quite honest with you. And Declan Rice is very, very young, you know, to be quite honest with you, because Nemanja Matic, as I said, I've got reservations about him. He's also aging up as well. He's too slow in that midfield, and you know, Declan Rice is 20 years of age. He's one of England's youngest upcoming talents as well, and I think he's available for a reasonable figure. Is Declan Rice? I think, you know, West Ham would recommend that they want around £50 million for him, you know, if they're willing to do any business this summer. But his performances this season under Manuel Pellegrini have been very, very good indeed. You know, he's been at West Ham quite a few years now. He signed a new contract with West Ham back in December. It was a new long-term contract, so he's under contract with West Ham till 2024. He's Declan Rice as well. But yeah, we've been linked with Declan Rice, as I said. He's actually a former Chelsea player as well, where he actually began his career, I think. You know, he joined Chelsea at the age of 7. He was there a number of years in their youth setup. I think he got axed off at the age of 14. But now he's been at West Ham a number of years. I think he's been in the senior squad West Ham quite a few years as well. But he's only 20 years of age, and he's got a lot of years ahead of him as well. So potentially, he's mainly a holding midfield. I think he can actually operate as a centre-back as well. So Manchester United have been linked with Declan Rice. So for me, he would be the right solution for Manchester United. I think he'd blend in very, very well in our midfield, and I think he'd be a good replacement, you know, for Nemanja Matic as well, because I've analysed his performances for West Ham, and they have been very, very impressive indeed with Declan Rice's performances. And we do know there's also been a lot of talk, you know, about Saul Niguez as well from Atletico Madrid. I haven't heard much recently, but I think it was like quite a few weeks back now. It did say Manchester United were interested in Saul Niguez, and you know, he's versatile. His play, he can play as a centre defensive mid. He can play on the right. He can also play. I think he can play centrally as well. So no, he can play as a defensive mid. I think he can play centrally. He can also play on the right. So he's versatile. He's Saul Niguez. He spent the majority of his career in Spain with Atletico Madrid. You know, graduated from their youth system. He's only 24. He's Spanish as well, but again, you know, it cost us quite a bit of money, because I think he's got a release clause of around 128 million in his deal with Atletico Madrid as well. I think he's made over 200 appearances, you know, for Atletico Madrid as well. So there has also been talks about Saul Niguez as well. And we could identify him as a good replacement for Ander Herrera as well. We do know Manchester United, of course, have been linked, you know, with Bruno Fernandes as well from Sporting Lisbon. I think he's mainly an attacking midfielder. Again, he's only young as Bruno Fernandes. I think he's 24. He's Portuguese and he has been tearing up in Portugal very, very well. I think this is second season now. Is it in Portugal? You know, with Sporting Lisbon. He's got a release clause of around 90 million in his deal with Sporting Lisbon. As Bruno Fernandes. He's a former Sampdoria. He's a former Udinese player. But it has basically said that Manchester United have reportedly been in talks with his current representatives as well over the summer transfer. So he's been a potential Manchester United target as Bruno Fernandes. I still think he's got a contract with Sporting Lisbon until 2023 as Bruno Fernandes as well. So there has been a lot of talks about him going now. Manchester United have also, you know, been linked with Benfica's João Felix as well. You know, there's also been talks about him going on. Man United scouts have been watching him on a regular basis. You know, based on his performances, he's producing fantastically well. You know, with Benfica, and he only broke into the Benfica first team last year. You know, he's also a Portuguese, only 19 years of age, so he's still got a lot of years ahead of him as João Felix. I think he's got a buyout clause of around £100 million with Benfica as well. So Manchester United have also been linked with him as well. So you know, who could replace Paul Pogba, or who can replace Paul Pogba, and who can replace Ander Herrera at Manchester United as well? And that is the question indeed. We do potentially know Manchester United are looking for a central defender, and we know that we do need someone that can go alongside Victor Lindelof in our backline as well. And potentially, you know, there has been a lot of talk, you know, about Tottenham's Toby Alderweireld as well. You know what? I do really like Alderweireld, you know, to be quite honest with you. You know, he's a much cheaper alternative to the likes of the Koulibalis or the Rafael Varans or the Diego Gomes and all that. You know, he's nowhere in this. He's not in the same calibre or level as Toby Alderweireld, but for me, he's a much cheaper option. You know, and I think he'd be a good upgrade in our defence, you know, to be quite honest. You know, he's available for 25 million this summer, as you all know, because obviously he's refused to sign a contract with Tottenham as Toby Alderweireld. You know, back in I think back in January, you know, Tottenham activated the 12-month extension and included this 25 million release clause as well. Maybe a lot of people said, you know, we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer, of course, you know, because there's quite a few players out there for the reasonable figure, and of course Toby Alderweireld is one of them. Toby Alderweireld, I have got reservations about him now. You know, he's just recently turned 30 years of age as Toby Alderweireld, but I still think he'd be a good leader in our back line, you know, because he knows about the Premier League. He's well Premier League proven as well, and he has proven himself at Tottenham, you know, the number of years he's been there of course as well. I do think he has lost that yard of pace, you know, to be quite honest with you, but I still think he'd be a good addition, you know, if he was to come to Manchester United. I think he'd look very, very good alongside Lindelof in our back line as well. So yeah, he has refused to sign a contract with Tottenham, so that just indicates that he probably, you know, wants to leave Tottenham this summer as well. So yeah, we know that a lot of Man United fans would like to see you know, Koulibaly come in and Rafael Varane come in as well. And we do know Manchester United have been long admirers of the Senegal international, you know, Koulibaly, of course. But we do know that Manchester United are going to have to pay around, you know, we're going to have to pay at least around 100 or 110 million pounds, you know, to convince Napoli, you know, to do any business for Koulibaly this summer. Potentially, we're going to have to pay a world record fee, so potentially we're going to have to make him the most expensive defender in world football, you know, if we've got any chances of getting him, of course. Obviously, you know, back in January, Manchester United had 3 bids turned down. Obviously, you know, last summer we was heavily linked with Koulibaly as well. But he's nearly 28 years of age. You know, he's still got quite a few years ahead of him. But I think if he was to come to the Premier League, and it would be good for him to come and experience the Premier League, you know, in my opinion, I think he would produce and deliver the same element of the performances, you know, that he has been doing in Italy with Napoli. You know, the number of years he has been there now. I think this is now his 5th season with Napoli. His Koulibaly, I think he's made over 200 odd appearances in all competitions. I think for Napoli as well. He's got a contract with Napoli till 2023. I think he recently signed this new contract as well, did Koulibaly. But we do know that Manchester United have been long admirers of him as well. But he'd address our defensive deficiencies, you know, fantastically well indeed. So yeah, Manchester United are heavily linked with him. We do know Rafael Varane, you know, a lot of Manchester United fans, you know, would like to see Rafael Varane coming as well. Great player, only 25 years of age, you know, still got a lot of years ahead of him as well as Rafael Varane. You know, this is what his 8th season now, is it, you know, Real Madrid. He's been at Real Madrid about 8 years, so he's remained loyal to them for 8 years. You know, he spent the majority of his career in Spain now with Real Madrid. It's quite remarkable what he's achieved as a 25-year-old. I think he's won about 15, 16 major honours or something like that as well. He's won about 15-16 major honours as well as Rafael Varane. You know, he's got a contract with Real Madrid till 2022. I think he's got a huge release clause around 429 million in his current deal with Real Madrid. But reports came out, was it about 3 or 4 weeks ago, saying that reports were coming out from Spain, saying that he's considering leaving Real Madrid this summer. But I don't think I think from Real Madrid's perspective, you know, they wouldn't want to lose Rafael Varane, of course, unless, you know, any team willing to trigger his staggering release clause. He's got his current deal as well. And, you know, there is a lot of top class players want, but you can't get every player in the world, and that is the thing, you know, to be quite honest with you as well. And so yeah, you know, we are linked with quite a few central defenders, as we all do know. Obviously, we know that the club are in search, you know, to get a right back in as well. And we do know, I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you know, would be the right solution, you know, if we were to get him in the summer. Don't forget he's available for a reasonable figure. I think he's valued at around £35-40 million. Is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. You know, he's still in the process of developing. You know, he's only 21 years of age. You know, he's one of England's youngest prospects as well. Is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but I think he's got the ability to elevate Manchester United at least in the next 2 to 3 years as Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think he only broke into the Crystal Palace first team last year as well, was it back in February. So he's been a potential right back, you know, we have been interested in as well. Thomas Meunier, you know, there has been talks about him going on. Don't forget, he's available for a reasonable figure this summer. Recent reports have indicated out saying that PSG are demanding that they want around 26 million for him this summer. I think he's predominantly a right back, but I think he can play in other positions as well. So he is versatile. His defensive abilities are good. He can score goals. He can also provide them as well. He is highly experienced, is Thomas Meunier, because he's 27 years of age. It has said Arsenal and Chelsea are interested in him as well, Thomas Meunier. But he's been at PSG a number of years now, and obviously he hasn't signed a new contract with them. He's got about, 13 or 14 months left on his current contract with PSG, Thomas Meunier. So it did say Man United are considering making a move for him this summer as well. So I do think he'd be the right player, you know, to come to Manchester United as well. So there has also been talks about him. So yeah, there's been a few right backs who've been interesting. You know, there's been talks about Tottenham's Kieran Trippier as well. I have heard about, but we do know the club's #1 priority target. You know, is obviously, you know, Borussia Dortmund's Jadon Sancho, as we all know. But we do know he's going to cost us at least around £100 million this summer. You know, if he's going to be for sale, of course. Jadon Sancho, you know, would link up very, very well alongside the likes of Rashford and Martial in our front line as well. You know, with Jadon Sancho, because he's proven himself fantastically well with Dortmund. He's been there a couple of years. You know, reports came out the other day saying that he was interested in making a return back to Manchester, because obviously he's a former Manchester City player where he did serve a couple of years, of course. But I think the main reason he left because he never got into the first team, or he was never guaranteed to play regularly in the first team as well. But Jadon Sancho, yeah, so Man United is still heavily linked to him. There's been a narrative going on about it now for the last 5-6 weeks or something like that as well. But I still think he is the club's #1 priority target. He's just recently turned 19 years of age, so he's still got a hell of a lot of years ahead of him as well as Jadon Sancho. But as I was saying about David De Gea, you know, I have got concerns about him at the moment. You know, as I did say earlier on in this video, you know, he's becoming a liability. You know, he's making mistakes now with De Gea, and you know, is it something to do with a contract issue? Doesn't he want to be at Manchester United anymore? Because a player of David De Gea's calibre, you know, he was talking about a while back. I think this was a while back. He was talking about, you know, being up there challenging for trophies and winning trophies, and this is something we haven't been doing, you know, for quite a while as well. And I just don't know what's going on with De Gea at the moment. You know, reports came out a while back saying that he's demanding £350,000 a week from Manchester United if he was to sign a new contract. He is still under contract until the summer of 2020. You know, don't forget, Real Madrid have been long admirers of him. Recent reports have said now PSG are interested in David De Gea as well. It did say PSG were willing to meet his £350,000 a week wage demands. But David De Gea has been a good servant to the club. As I said, he's made all 300 odd appearances in all competitions. He's won the club's Player of the Year for out of the last 5 year as well. But yeah, I still really like him. But now maybe some Manchester United fans, based on his mistakes he has been making, maybe recommending for these remaining 2 games, you know, we should put Sergio Romero into contention and drop David De Gea as well. But as I said, Rashford could miss Huddersfield. He has sustained a shoulder injury as Marcus Rashford. So maybe we should, you know, give the youngsters a chance in these 2 remaining games, you know, and drop the problematic players as well. Because either way, it doesn't really matter, because I think now top 4 has gone anywhere, to be quite honest. It's not impossible, but I think it is gone now, to be quite honest, because we've had opportunities because, you know, teams around us, you know, have been slipping up. Arsenal have lost 3 in a row. You know, Tottenham losing at the weekend as well. And, you know, we've had opportunities, you know, to get into that top 4, and that's the most frustrating thing about it as well. And I think Chelsea, you know, getting a point at Old Trafford, you know, they'll be happy with that. I think that's their first point they've taken off the top 6, I think, something like that. Is it something like that? Yeah. But yeah, it was very, very disappointing yesterday as well. So we do go to Huddersfield, and it's Cardiff on the last game of the season as well. But as I did currently say, you know, the news about Paul Pogba, he's looking like he's going to Real Madrid. As I said, you know, Lukaku probably will be, if he's leaving this summer, he'll be going to either Juventus or Inter Milan, probably more likely, you know, Juventus, you know, to be quite honest with you. But if we can sell, you know, Lukaku and Pogba, you know, we could easily cash in around £200 million for them anywhere as well. So we'll see what happens. As I said, I'm still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You know, he was a good player, was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, for 11 years under Alex Ferguson, but, you know, he's got the experience of a player, but he hasn't really got it as a manager at the moment, and that's what's concerning me. But, you know, I will start to prejudge if things start going wrong in the new season as well. But we've got to give him a summer, you know, to see who he can bring in to the club, and that is the most important thing indeed. But we are at least 3 or 4, we are at least, I'd say 3, 4, maybe 5 years off being at competitive elite level football club, as we was under Alex Ferguson. I think we're at least at least 2, 3 years off being, you know, we're at least 2 or 3 years off being on Man City's level or Liverpool's level. We've got to spend in this summer, and that is the most essential thing indeed. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below the channel if you do consider subscribing as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.